That at the moment, the court has found that there is a serious question to be argued and determined as to whether the Australian government's proposal to expel our clients to Malaysia is indeed lawful, or whether or not they should be allowed to remain in Australia to have their claims for refugee protection considered here.
And what basis do you say it's unlawful? What's your basis for saying it's unlawful?
There are a number of bases, including the fact that we are challenging a declaration made by the Minister that says that Malaysia is a place which provides proper protections and human rights standards for those asylum seekers that it proposes to send there.
Is Malaysia legally bound by any of the agreement?
This arrangement between Australia and Malaysia is expressly a statement of intention and political commitment, but is not legally binding.
What is the significance of the Human Rights Commission keeping an eye on this situation?
Yes, the Australian Human Rights Commission today indicated that it is considering intervening in this case. That would be a very important development, given that it is, in Australia, a key human rights watchdog.
What about the position of unaccompanied minors?
Yes, at the moment, unaccompanied minors are essentially in a very precarious situation. The Minister for Immigration is the legal guardian for unaccompanied minors, and he must at all times act in their best interests. The court will determine whether or not expulsion of unaccompanied minors to Malaysia would in fact be lawful, and this will be a very important consideration in the case before the full bench of the High Court.
What are the ages of the people we're talking about, the children?
Those details will be revealed in due course.
What does the decision mean for people waiting in Malaysia to come to Australia on the other side of the deal?
As far as I'm aware, in relation to this refugee swap, there is no stop on the resettlement of the 4,000 refugees under this arrangement. So it is not contingent upon this case.
Another boat's arriving. Are you going to keep on signing up plaintiffs so the government won't be at risk of sending any to Malaysia in the meantime?
Given what has happened today, we would expect the government not to remove or expel any person who is subject to the Malaysian solution pending the outcome of the High Court case, because really what the High Court decides will apply to anyone who arrives from the date of this arrangement.
Would you anticipate it would be a protracted hearing once it comes before the full court?
The High Court has indicated that it wants a very tight timetable, that it wants the full hearing of this trial to commence in the week of the 22nd of August. So they're indicating that they want this matter brought on very quickly and determined very quickly.
What does it mean for your case that the judge said that you have to split it into individual cases?
The splitting of the issues is a matter that is yet to be fully determined before the court. But there are a number of legal issues that need to be determined. Some of those will be determined before the full court of the High Court. Some may be referred to a lower court for determination.
Can you tell us about your clients without obviously naming them? What are they? Where are they from? What are their ages?
Our clients are from Afghanistan and Pakistan. Currently, we act for 42 of the asylum seekers, and many of them are extremely distressed at the moment. We've been in contact with a number of them. They're extremely distressed. They're very fearful, and in particular, a number of them have made very strong claims of fear of being persecuted in Malaysia as well as in their homeland.
How did you break the news to them, or how was the news broken to them that they would be going to Malaysia?
We spoke to them on Saturday night, and then again on Sunday, and they're very scared. They're very scared of being sent to a country that has a very poor track record when it comes to the treatment of refugees. Many of them are very well aware of the serious mistreatment that refugees face in Malaysia, and as I say, a number of them have expressed very serious concerns that they would be persecuted in Malaysia, including on the basis of their religious beliefs.
What about the government's argument that sending people to Malaysia will stop the boats eventually?
Well, this case is really about our clients, very vulnerable people, asking the court for a ruling about whether under Australian law the government really has the power to refuse the proper consideration of their refugee protection claims in Australia and instead expel them to Malaysia where it fears that there will not be proper protections in place.
What's the difference between sending them, say, to Nauru or some other Papua New Guinea or some place and sending them to Malaysia?
Look, the heart of the issue is not whether Malaysia or Nauru or PNG are a better place to expel people. This case is about whether or not it is lawful for the Australian government to expel our clients to Malaysia without proper consideration of their refugee claims.
Does your case have any precedent in Australian law?
No, this, in many respects, many of the matters to be considered here will be novel legal issues, and time will tell us to what the court determines.
The government was expecting legal.
What does today's decision say about the whole concept of Christmas Island not being in the Australian immigration zone?
Really, this case is fundamentally about whether or not our clients who have come to Australia seeking refugee protection have that right to seek protection in Australia rather than being expelled to Malaysia. That's the central issue here, and whether or not in expelling them to Malaysia they would be properly protected there, and including whether there would be adequate human rights standards in Malaysia to essentially allow for their expulsion there.
Is it only an issue of human rights, or is it an issue of expulsion? What is it?
At the heart of this case is, as I say, the question of whether or not our clients have the right, are allowed to make refugee claims in Australia instead of being expelled to Malaysia, to a country where it is feared that there will not be proper protections in place, that there will not be proper human rights safeguards.
But do you argue if Malaysia had human rights obligations that were met, do you say it would be okay to send them there?
Look, what we now know from the government's position on this is that the minister made a declaration about Malaysia that it was appropriate to transfer asylum seekers to Malaysia on the basis that there were proper protections in place and adequate human rights standards. That matter we are challenging in the High Court.